Blaisen, the Cresta Mora, and further west, near St. Moritz, Corvatsch. He closed the window, secured the lock, then crawled into bed. His roommate, Alain, was reading an Asterix comic book his father had sent from Paris. Robbie wished he had a father to send him comics, or preferably a book about rugby, which was his favorite sport. It was hard to be too sad, though, because he'd never really known his dad. And besides, he had a wonderful mother. Robbie picked up his phone and considered calling her. The more he thought about the watchers, the more they bothered him. He refused to use the word scared, because people like Robbie were not allowed to be scared. It was a question of setting the right example. He heard Alain snore and decided against calling. Good manners were part of that example, too. Robbie turned out the light and laid his head on the pillow. There was math first period tomorrow, then history, and rugby again after school. As he drifted off to sleep, his eyes opened for a second, even less, and he thought he saw a shadow in the window. The watchers. Maybe it was just a dream or a figment of his imagination. Either way, the image didn't register. He turned over and fell into a deep slumber. It had been a long day, and a 12-year-old boy got very tired. Chapter 2. Les Ambassadeurs, London, England. Simon Riske did not like losing money. Seated at the center of a card table in the high rollers room at Les Ambassadeurs, London's most exclusive gaming establishment, he peeked at his cards, then lifted his eyes to the dwindling stacks of chips before him. He wondered how much longer his bad luck could continue. "Well," said Lucy Brown, seated at his shoulder so she could view his cards, "what do we do?" "What do you think?" "Both cards are different." "So they are." "Neither match the cards in front of the dealer." "And so?" Lucy screwed up her face, and Simon allowed her a moment to figure things out. It wasn't normal for players to discuss their hands, especially when large sums of money were at stake, but Lucy was young and blonde and pretty, and upon sitting down, Simon had explained to all present that he would be teaching her a thing or two about poker. The other players, all male, had taken a peek, some discreet, some not so, at Lucy's black dress, her figure, and her blue eyes. If anyone had voiced an objection, Simon hadn't heard it. "Fold?" said Lucy. "Fold," he said, sliding his cards to the center of the table. "Darn," said Lucy. Simon had a more colorful word in mind. Instead, he offered his best not-to-worry smile and signaled for a drink. A Fanta for Lucy and a grapefruit and soda for himself. Alcohol and gambling were as combustible as matches and gasoline. It was an ordinary evening at Les, as the club was known to habitués. Downstairs a lively crowd milled about the gaming tables, the atmosphere one of a posh Georgian country house. The play was spread evenly among roulette, blackjack, and baccarat. Slot machines were the province of the lower classes and strictly verboten. But the real action took place in the private rooms on the second floor. It had been Simon's plan to observe from afar while explaining the rules of the game to Lucy. The idea vanished approximately 5 seconds after he witnessed a player win a £5,000 pot on a weak hand. Being a modest and unassuming sort, Simon had reasoned that he could do better. That was 2 hours and £20,000 ago. "Another hand," Lucy said cheerily. "Our luck's bound to change." Simon looked at her expectant gaze, her adventurous posture. Lucy was 23 and gifted with what some might, in the polite confines of Les Ambassadeurs, call a curvy figure. Like most women her age, she liked showing off her assets. Simon's relationship with her was purely platonic, somewhere between father and friend. It was nebulous territory. In fact, he was her employer. Lucy worked as an apprentice in his automotive repair shop, where she was learning to restore vintage Italian sports cars.